Hello, traders. My name is Anna, and I am head coach at Leveraged. And today I have the vet with me yet again. And oh, sorry about that. Right. So today we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. We're going to look at the charts. So please, guys, if you're sharing any of like ideas, then please do not copy them, right? So always use your own analysis, your own risk management. So me and Devet, we're just going to be here trying to figure out what's going on in the markets, maybe share a little bit how has been this week in the market and just chat about, because there's a lot of going on in the world with all that. So but Devet, how about that? If you remind a little bit who you are, just for those who maybe didn't see you last week. How about that?
Am I on? Can you hear me? Great.
Yes, yes.
So, I'm David, living in South Africa. Been trading for a few years now, up and down various different. Been around the block. So excited to trade and be on this live and talk with you about the charts and just let's see what happens. Look at the markets. I have some things I want to share. We'll talk about some interesting things. I mostly trade high time frame trading, potentially sometimes on lower time frame as well if I'm able to. I have a full-time job as well, so I do trading as a side hustle. It's my side hustle, but I enjoy it and I like the freedom that high time frame trading gives you to still be able to do other things as well and not be glued to the charts. Even though I love it so much, I would often like to be at the charts all day, but I think we know that that's not always the best thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. Well, tell us this maybe. Like how, because okay, I'll tell you a little story how it is with me. So I remember like going into full time. I was so excited to be able to spend the whole day in the charts, right? But then you
Yes.
said something there that it's not always the best thing to do. So I want to maybe like, can you quickly share if you have any of experience of that? Have you, if ever something happened in the market, why do you say that sometimes it's not the best to spend the whole day? And I mean, I know what can happen, but I just want to hear it from you. So what experience you have had? Because the bet so many people actually do, like traders, they think trading is like a full-time job, right? So I need to spend 8 hours a day in front of the screen because like I'm
Yes.
going to replace my full time with the trading. So and I found that that's not the case, and I just want to know maybe what's your experience in this.
I think it's because, so for me, it's matching expectations with reality. So if you have the expectation to trade and sit in front of the charts all day, but the reality is that the market maybe is just consolidating or there's no real setup, then your expectation will override your reasonable or logical thinking and signals that you get from the market. So because your expectation is you're going to be a trader, you're going to sit all day trading, you will force setups. You'll take setups or you take trades that doesn't fit a plan, that's not part of a system, but you're taking them because you had the expectation that you're going to be sitting in front of the charts for all day long, or all hour long, or whatever time you have for it. And that expectation will then drive you to make decisions that's not necessarily based on a proven strategy or data. It's just because you have the expectation to trade all day long. And then sometimes you can make big trades, massive trades, and then you're on this high, but you want to trade all day, and then you end up giving back those profits later the day because you thought you had to be trading all day instead of just walking away. So it's all thing of aligning your expectations with what's given to you on the markets, what's available, and what is there to trade.
Yeah. Expectations is something that I very often talk about because it feels like so many traders come in trading. And it's also like, my experience, because when I started to trade, my expectation was that every month I will be able to make money with trading. I
Yes.
thought that from my, I started actually with, we can, we're different, right? Some start with 1,000, some start with 10, some start with bigger amount of money, right? But
Yes.
my capital was small. And I
Mm.
thought, this is going to replace now my job and, like it's going to be great.
Yes.
And, so the expectation was right here, right? Very, very high.
Mm.
But the realistic results were way
Mm.
below that expectation. And
So,
in the middle, frustration happens, right?
do
Because
you
your
think
expectation is too high.
do you think we should have no expectations or try to find realistic expectations? Is there a difference between no expectations in trading or
Mhm.
realistic expectations? And do you think one or the other?
I think, it's like asking, what is the purpose in your life? Should you have a
Mm.
purpose? Right? So it's like, I think it's good to have a goal, right?
Mm.
And I think it's really good to try and, reach something. But
Yes.
the answer in here, in my opinion, is that the expectation has to be realistic, and it has to
Mm.
be, based on many things. For example, as a trader,
Mm.
if you know that your strategy is not profitable yet, if you
Mm.
know that you are going on a big losing streak, if you know that you cannot control your emotions, right?
Yeah.
What is the expectation that now, for example, you're going to join leveraged and you're going to trade executive portfolio manager 1 million capital? Like
Yeah.
the current situation doesn't align with your
Yes.
expectation. So that's
Yes.
why, like I'm saying, that the middle there, that's like reality. And that's why,
Yes.
it's important to make sure that your current situation, like who you are as a trader,
Mm.
can actually align with what you're expecting. So, and
Expecting.
that's what it is. Like we just need to either lower the expectation.
Mm.
Actually, you know what? Like I was really surprised, but I did the one-on-one coaching with one of the traders, and
Mm.
we actually had this other way thinking because his expectation was way too low. And I'm like, why are
Oh,
you putting yourself, like you're a good trader, right? So
yes.
why is the so why is it this? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just really, really important to I mean, for myself at least, to
Mm.
have expectation, just make sure that it is realistic with your current, situation where you are
Yes.
as a trader.
Mm.
Because it just otherwise there can be a little bit of messy situation, maybe too much you're expecting or too little. So it's
Mm.
just the right amount of the expectation, I guess.
Yeah. So matching your expectations with your abilities,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
not just that. Just yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Someone is asking, where is the trading room? Okay, calm down. We're going to show the charts just in a second. We were just trying to warm up the conversation here. Someone says, I believe that's in Afrikaans, like
It's a friend. Yeah.
right. Okay. Good. Good. Right. So, Tibet, do you want to start maybe to share with your charts? Like, just do like a analysis, go through, it, and then I'll join
Okay.
you in. Is that okay?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Okay. So this is the one that got away.
The one
Not a
that-
mistrade, but I decided not to take this trade. Um, and maybe it's a little bit influenced by a loss yesterday, which
Mm,
which is why I didn't take this. But the setup was very simple: 1 hour fair value gap below new day VWAP. So there's a 1 hour fair value gap. There's a new day VWAP.
mhm,
It's all on the 1 hour time frame. The reason why I hesitated on taking this is because we had this one as well, and I wasn't sure, and we traded below previous weekly low. So in my experience, often we trade below a previous swing high or low, and then we usually get a reaction to the
mhm.
upsides for it. So I was, let's say, almost want to say not afraid, but hesitant to take a
Yeah.
short because of that. Um, and now it's working out. So it's a mistrade. But yesterday I looked at something similar.
Mhm,
Um, so there was the new day VWAP. We were above new day VWAP, and we had bullish fair value gaps. And I wanted to take a long, so I had an entry. So I split risk, one entry there, and for this one I had a big stop loss, so covering this low as well. And then
Mhm.
price came down, and then I had another entry because I thought, okay, maybe this favor gap will hold
Mhm.
because that is the strategy. That's how I traded, and it was a stop loss. So, which was perfectly fine. They happened, and I think that's why, in this case, I was like, which one do I take? Do I wait for the top one? Do I take this one? I was kind of
Mhm.
indecisive, and then I ended up deciding, no, I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna take this trade,
Mhm.
which now it works out because if I look at the higher time frames, we have
Mhm.
these swing lows towards the left, which is for me sell side liquidity or like the objective for price to trade into. And if we just look at current market conditions, I do think that we are in a downtrend. We're making lower lows, lower highs. So in terms of structure, price is moving towards the downside. Yeah, so that was kind of the one that got away for this
Mhm.
morning's trade. Then I looked at Aussie dollar as well for a potential trade. So we traded above, then we broke down. So this view up was below. So an entry in this area. Sorry, stop loss above the high. So
Mhm.
something like this. So this trade could still play out, move towards the downside. Um, all
Mhm.
week we've been trading from
Bullish.
Monday. Sorry, from Monday morning we've been
Mhm.
bullish. So front side. So we could see a reversal towards the downside on a Friday. If we're just
Yeah.
looking at all of this kind of this channel, not trading channels, but this kind of escalator price action, maybe we get the
Mhm.
lift towards the downside. um, but yeah, so that's what I'm looking at on Aussie dollar, potential move towards the downside. Um, Sometimes, I don't know who's traders familiar with SMT or divergence. If we look at pairs that correlate, so
Mhm.
just for interest sake, if we look at New Zealand NSD USD, let's see, yeah, so NSD USD traded above the highs. You
Mhm.
can see it traded above the highs, but Aussie dollar made a lower high.
Mhm.
So that could be an early signal that price is going to continue lower. That's just a confluence that you can add, that I could add. So this is something I'm potentially looking at. And then I was looking at pound dollar. Everything is just relatively consolidating. So we're just moving
Mhm.
sideways. If I put the new day, if we were up on it, we had a fair value gap towards the downside, but immediately just got engulfed towards the upside. And now we have one there as well as a bullish signal. But overall, it's sideways moving. So I'm
Mhm.
not really seeing any clear direction for me personally. On the daily time frame, we're extended, and we have created all of these bullish fair value gaps towards the upside,
Yeah.
breaking above these swing highs. So my first response is potentially price could come back to retest the previous swing high, previous resistance that we broke through, creating that
Mhm.
support and resistance. So I do think I can be more bearish when proven bearish. So currently it's just bullish. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish days. So we'll have to see a lower time frame price starting to break lower, engulf. I like when I look at reversals, I like to see engulfment of fair value gaps. So do we have fair value gaps going up, and as soon as price starts to engulf them towards the downside and starts creating new bearish fair value gaps and respects them. So
Mhm.
for me to trade short on GU, I would like to see a new bearish fair value gap created. So if we can start see a
So
push
just like a
down,
break of the structure. Okay.
break of
Yeah, makes
structure, and leave behind a fair value gap. So if we can trade
Mhm.
below this low and leave
Mhm.
behind a fair value gap, that could be a good entry for me to take a short from. EU, similar story. I'm not gonna repeat it. Actually, they talk about
Ping pong.
indices.
I see the ping pong on GU and
Yes,
EU.
G and EU is just ping pong, so it kind of just
Yeah.
needs to decide what it wants to do. If I look at the indices, it's just we've gone through all-time highs, I think, on Nasdaq.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
wow.
I think so. So it's bullish.
Can I
It's
ask the
great.
question? Is the US 100, because I don't trade indices, right? So it's like
Hmm.
I'm a baby green when it comes to indices. Okay.
Okay.
Is it the NAS 100?
Yes,
Yes.
Nasdaq
Okay.
is US
It's just like
100.
the name is like US 100.
Yeah, and
Okay.
US 500
S&P.
is the S&P, and
And
US 50 is
that's
the Dow
Dow
Jones.
Jones. Yeah.
Dow Jones.
I call it a beast. That's how I call it, a
Yes.
beast. Okay, we're
Daily,
very
yeah. I'm not. So I want to see 1 hour favorite gaps above VWAP. So
Mhm.
now this could maybe have been a trade, but I
Yeah.
feel scared to trade this because, well, not scared.
So
I don't
high
have
up.
really context because where. So yes. So we have two favorite gaps. We have again two.
Mhm.
So you could place it there and stop loss below or below there. Do like a 1-to-1. That could be a trade potentially, but like I like to see price action on the left that could like be a target, so that I know okay,
Mm.
I'm trading towards that high. But currently there's nothing on the left, so it kind of feels like trading blindly.
Is
So
it also because, sometimes how we say it's too high up to buy because it's so high up and that's where the fear comes from because you
but
feel like you're
potentially,
buying the high?
potentially, and then price just keeps on going higher. Then you say to yourself, I should have bought.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
Exactly.
where is the ceiling? So would you
Yeah, you
actually
never
maybe
know.
like zoom out really, really a lot to go on like a daily time frame, weekly time frame, and just try and figure out where is that high? Or
But that's
is
not.
this the all-time
This
high?
is this is the all-time high. If you look at the
So then it's
monthly,
like, where is the ceiling? There's no ceiling, maybe.
no, yeah. So
Um,
that's why
yeah,
for now I'm just waiting on indices, waiting
yeah.
uh for market conditions that will allow me to feel more confident in taking a trade. Because if I don't
Mm,
feel confident in it, it's best not to execute on it.
yeah.
So we have spoken about golds, the DAX. There's no favorable gap, so then I immediately just don't look at it. Oil, something nice that I looked at this morning. Above you up 1 hour favorable gap, and it's starting to. And this is nice because now I have context. So there's a high
Yeah.
that we can trade to,
Mhm,
or even these highs right there.
mhm.
So that would be nice. That is a stop loss below, something like this. That could be nice. But also oil, and with what's going on in the Middle East and where all the oil supply is from, this
Mhm.
could be a difficult horse to ride.
Yeah.
It could be very volatile. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Pound yen. I looked at this last night. Let me just quickly remove everything. So there was the new day. We were above it. We
Mhm.
created these fair value gaps. And then again, there were two of them. So I just placed the tool just to see what happens overnight. So that would have been like a nice trade from the fair value gap.
Yeah.
And again, we had highs to the left that it could
Mm.
trade to, which I like to see. But with the indices right now, I'm not sure, especially Nasdaq. Well, all of them. So that's why
Yeah.
I think I would prefer if we start. So if we place a view up on the new day, if we start now creating fair value gaps towards the downside,
Mhm.
then there's places we can trade back into as a retracement. So then potentially catch some shorts.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's currently my outlook. It was a difficult week for me. I think with what happened in the world this week,
Yeah.
markets just weren't that great to trade, and a lot of setups failed, which usually would have played out. But obviously, the nature of the
Mhm.
game is that it's all probabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so currently monitoring AU to see if it does want to go lower, and we'll just keep an eye on
The
when,
gold.
yeah, just for interesting to see if it does reach the targets that I did set out.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
I
on my
have a
side.
question for I have a question for you for your GJ analysis. So if
GJ.
you go into GJ, yeah.
Mm,
So see like those fair value gaps, right? The bullish ones. Would you use them again today because the price is technically above the VWAP?
yes. So I use them only once. If price has traded
Mhm.
into it once, then I don't use it again. So for
Yeah.
now, for me, they are void,
Invalid.
null and void,
Okay.
invalid. I don't look at them again. Um,
Hmm.
and then I would place a VWAP on the new day and
Hmm.
see. So technically, this could have been a potential trade. So maybe this is a trade. So there's the fair value gap. You traded into it. So that is where your entry would have been. Stop loss above
Hmm.
the high, right?
Yeah.
And looking at these lows as a target.
Hmm.
So yeah, I actually see this now for the first time. So that could potentially be a trade. We did come, so
Hmm.
we traded into it. So that's your entry. Yes, we traded back into it. So um, potentially looking to see if it trades lower. But again, like we said, it feels like a lot of ping pong. It's just moving
It,
sideways.
it sure does. Yeah. It's like
So it's
no
it's
no
not high
confirmation.
probable, no
Yeah.
confirmation. And,
Well, but I mean, that's also what I caught on that you said, split the risk because if you have like two fair value gaps, then
mm,
on the first one, because it's more aggressive, right? Because it's the closer entry. So you
yeah,
can put like a smaller risk reward, not the risk reward, but the risk. And then for
mm,
the second one, you can put like your normal risk. And I have
yes,
actually the saying that if your risk management is bad, you can destroy your good trading strategy, right? So it's
mm,
all about the risk management. We just need to figure out how to use it properly.
I'll use it
Um,
properly.
yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And it's just like sometimes it's like where should I take it? And I think
Yes.
if you see from your data that very often you get like two or maybe three even entries, then you can
Mm,
start to figure out how can I actually make sure that this works for me in my
yes.
benefit. So that's why
Mm,
you can split that risk and just make sure that you're doing it accordingly based on your setups. And I
mm,
know I'm not sure if you do that, but like I know many traders who do like A plus, like A setup, B setup, C
yes.
setup. Yeah.
Yes. I
And
have
then
a
you can
grading
say,
for it as
my
well.
A
Yeah.
setups, those will be like my higher risk setups, and my
Mm,
B setups, they're just going to be lower. So maybe that could work for,
absolutely.
for the multiple entries there.
If I were to get involved now in this, I would want to see more bearish price action and potentially more fair value gaps like these being created and
Mhm.
respected
Yeah.
to get involved in this. So we
Good,
traded
good
lower.
reminder though that today's Friday, so the markets are going to
Yes.
close very soon. So let's not, I think the Friday is actually that's what I said to the vet. Traders are more active on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because that's like they still feel like it's the beginning of the week, it's fresh
Yes.
week, they can get in the market. But when it comes to like Thursday, Friday, it's just like that, just let it be. It's Friday, so I'm gonna come up, the next week. So it's like maybe let's not try and get too excited because maybe
Yes.
market is kind of calming down. And today we do have high impact news on dollar later on, but
Mm,
I don't think it's going to be something that's going to shake the markets really really crazily. But at the same time, we live in the times where
yeah.
there is so much things going on and market is just can go really really wild, and we've seen it this week. For example, EUGU moved so much based on the pips amount, right? The range was so big. Like that's
Yeah.
not
Just look
normal
at
market conditions, right? Yeah, look at
from
that. So that's
Monday,
like since Monday. Yeah. It's
just an
it's
absolute
wild.
blast.
Yeah. I'm just curious, traders, for those who are trading, what do you think on EU and GU? Will we see the potential, pullback today? Because you need to zoom out the vet very, very much to see on the left where is the previous zone. I think it's from 2022.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there we go. That's the 2022 high there. Yep. Look at that.
Will we
Look at
respect it?
it's respected for now, right? But
For
on the
now,
smaller time frame, we were doing the ping pong thing,
yes.
But at the way how I trade, I see there is a potential for a pullback, And
Mm.
that's as me, because I am a pullback trader. I trade pullbacks. More often my setups will be pullbacks than continuations.
Okay.
And also in these market conditions, when you say, I'm trading pullback, people are like, you must be crazy, because market conditions
Crazy
are
pullback
definitely
traders.
not for the yeah, they're just not for the pullbacks just now,
No.
because market. And that's what I said, this is where I struggle with when it comes to seeing the chart, right? I see it, I see my zones, I get
Mm.
baited in, and then market never pulls back enough to reach my profits, and it just keeps on going. So
So
yeah.
are you looking at any setups right now?
So
Anything that you're
okay,
potentially looking?
I will share my screen.
Okay.
We'll share to see what is it that I'm looking at. So I do want to point out the same thing that David did, right? So this is that high from 2022. The GU is like pound
Mm.
is really really strong compared to the dollar, right? Now one thing when I was like, even myself, that's why I also want to ask, because what's going on in the world, we thought that the dollar might be strong. There's going to be a strength in the dollar. However, if you look at the dollar, it is holding on for the dear life. It's just, it is holding on for the dear life, and dollar is not looking too good. Now, I use the DXY as, one of my confirmations, but they're definitely not of my first confirmation. So for example,
Okay.
if I see that there's, we can put this zone in here, right? And say that there's potential, let's change this arrow. There is a potential pullback, right? From here, like so, right? I am not going to sell you just because
Mm-hmm.
DXY isn't here. It's just, that's not a confirmation enough. But when I do look at the EU, there is a zone that I can put in and say that there is a potential for the price to actually pick up this area and then,
Okay.
reverse. So,
Mm.
and for me, because I do trade, so this is daily chart, I do trade like 4 hour zones, right? And if
Mm.
there is a zone, which it is in this case, I go on 15 minutes and I look for the setup, right? And I'll be
And
super honest here, right, guys? Do not copy this
that
because
looks
now
like
you
a
feel like
setup.
so I sold based on this bearish closure. My
I
stops are
thought so.
above, and I'm targeting, the previous low. Like, so look at that. I'm even currently a little bit in a profit, and the same scenario for me for this GU. So there is that 4 hour zone, and I sold literally like the same thing as
Mm.
EU, right? So I sold on this,
Would you
and
sell? Is that GU?
that is GU and EU. So I'm in both setups. I'm selling
Okay.
EU and
And
GU
GU.
currently.
Well,
Yeah.
why don't you just sell AU as well and then make it a 3-4-3?
Because I don't trade EU. Like I don't trade those pairs, right? So my main pairs are EU and GU. And
Okay.
I have the best story about my GJ. So GJ, I call her a she, but somehow she's my wife. And we're divorced now. Because GJ can get, for those traders who are trading GJ, honestly, hat off to you. You're doing a great job.
Well done.
GJ is just nasty, if you want to put it
Yes.
in a very kind, nice
She
way,
can be
right?
very
We're not
nasty at
going to start
times.
to. It can be really really nasty. So but basically for GJ, it's, I mean, you can see a lot, and I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and do this thing in here, right? So the way how the markets are going, we see that they're bullish, and if there is a pullback, it is not big enough for me to get in the trade. And basically,
Mm.
this is what happens when let me do the brush thing, right? So this is market is going up, right?
Mm.
This is not, and for example, I have a zone in here, I have a zone in here, and what happens? I get in the trade, I get stopped out. I get in trade in here again, and I get stopped out, right? Because the
Yes.
market condition is just not there for me. It's just not the way how it works for my
So
strategy.
is that because you don't trade continuations? So you wouldn't have taken a
Exactly. Oh,
long
I would have. So this is like,
if.
I'm trying to explain myself, right? So the
Yeah.
price is going, like
Mm.
this. So and then my zones are, let's say uh, in here, and in here, something like
Mm.
that, right? So what happens then is I take a trade, and here I'm trying to sell. It gives a little bit of pullback and then I'm stopped out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once I have a break in here, which is, it's clear we have now like broken up, right? So I'm going to be trying to look for the sales, but sorry, for the buys. But what happens is that the price action, it goes higher, but it never pulls back to give me an
Okay.
entry, and it just goes without me. So I
Yes.
also take continuation trades, but they need
Okay.
to pull back to my zone
To your
for me to be
zones.
able to say, this is a good setup, this is within my
Yes. Okay,
plan,
that
and I'm
makes
going to
sense.
take it.
Mm.
And it's just I get left out. And literally this
Mm.
week, that's what's been happening with me. I've been selling
Yes.
GU and just not getting the pullback that I need, because I will
Yes.
be I was selling in here, I was selling probably somewhere in here. I bought in here, I bought the bottom, but because I manage my trades through the news, I needed to close before the news. And I was like,
So
I
you
mean, it was,
closed your trade for all the news, all red news, not just CPI, NFP, and BPI, like the big three.
I
So you
do.
closed for all of them.
No, I try not to close for like a speech, for example, if it's like
Mm.
GBP speech, and I know it's not like
Yes.
something really, I'm not going to close for that.
Mm.
But if it's like FOMC, if it's CPI, NFP, big,
BPI.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
then obviously, yes, then I will close my
Mm.
trades, because, the least thing I want to do is get slipped. And that's just back to bad
That's a
memories
horrible
with,
way to go out.
with GJ.
Bad way.
But yeah, and just to say, kind of like also encourage traders, when I talk with many of them, they're like, oh, this market is just mad, and I'm trading my plan and my results are falling apart.
Yeah.
And 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 basically what I'm trying to say is that I know as traders we don't want to blame the market, and we shouldn't blame the market.
Mm.
But this is the time in the market history, let's say, right? You have, if you've been trading, let's say, for 2-3 years, you have never traded through, for example, when Trump is in office, and
Mm.
you just never traded with that. And that's also for myself. I traded many, like last half a year when he was
Mm.
in office, and then my most data that comes from was when the Biden was in the office. So and
And that's a
market has
completely
shifted.
different market.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying now, because my strategy is starting to struggle, is because the market has changed. And
Yes.
and I'm not trying to say this is, I'm just blaming the market. No, like obviously not. But at the same time, has shifted. So,
Mm.
and,
Definitely.
and nothing I can do. And I follow my plan. I open my trades. I get stop after a stop after a stop. I actually shared with the vet that it's been many trades between my profits, because it's either the news, I need to manage my trades. Now, also the news calendar, guys. Just take a look how many news we used to have, maybe like 8 high impact news for the whole week. Now we have
Yeah.
25. So
It's massive. It's
it's
busy, the
massive,
news calendar.
exactly. The economic calendar with red news is way, way bigger than it used to be. So that's why, like, to say that, yeah, they are changing. It is changed. It just
Mm.
makes sense. And that's what it is. Like, I try to sell in here and get that pullback, and I just don't. I'm trying to
Mm.
sell in here, get that pullback, and I just don't. Like yesterday I sold in here as well, and I closed it before the night. So I did took a little bit of profit yesterday, but like we're struggling. We're
Mm.
struggling. And this is like also for those who trade like patterns. Like I remember like last year, right? It was such a great trade, because you see, one leg. So this is first stop, the second. So this is like a double top. We're trading double top, and it used to
Yeah.
just go, and it won't. It's not doing what I want it to do. And the setup is there. Higher time frame zone, double top. So this is the pattern. I have my bearish closure. This is a great confirmation, right?
Mm.
But trade is just doing the ping pong with me and just really being a bully. That's what it is. I'm just trying to survive this bullying market.
Well, Anna,
So
your EU trade is moving. My Aussie dollar trade is moving. So
I saw the smirk in your face. That was like, I need to check. So debate is just like getting, maybe we should talk about a little bit about psychology, how we my accountability buddy always says to me, Anna, when you're chatty, that means your trades are going in the right direction. Because then I'm like starting to chat and I'm like, da,
starting
da,
to
da, da,
chat.
da, 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 but when they
You
go
could
in against me, I go full silent mode. This is
you
like
could
a silent treatment for
you
everyone.
started your voice started picking up speed. So I was like, oh, you're checking it in the corner of your eye.
I know. So yeah, guys, you will see if I'm talking a lot, it's just because, and the thing is, it's obviously, and now I'm trying to like justify myself right here. It's not because I see that trade is going my direction, or because my ego is now bursting of pride, or because I see the P&L moving into my direction. It's
No.
just, as a trader, I have passion for trading.
Mm,
And I think, it's like we're playing the numbers game here. It's either 1 or -1, right? So, and I'm just trying to get those ones, I guess, like
mm.
the more pluses. So, but yeah,
Uh,
someone's asking, why is your target so away from the entry? Because I trade the higher based on higher time frame analysis. It's just my entry time frame is 15 minutes, and you can see that I'm targeting like this low in here for the 4 hours. So, and another thing for myself is like if I take the trade and it doesn't give me 2 hour, like for example, if I would target these lows in here, that would be a no setup for me because I don't take anything less than 2 hour. So then I'm just
okay.
targeting the previous low. And
Mm,
that's how it is. Simple, right?
very simple. Anyone can do
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm not even laughing, but when traders ask, what is your strategy? I'm like, I trade stupid simple because
Yes.
I already said the story. When I was a kid, and I mean, even now, right? I really have struggle learning something new or just putting my brain into that. Now it's time to study. It really takes me a lot of
Mm,
time. So I tried so many things in the markets, and when I say I tried so many things, it's like honestly, I don't think there's anything new under the sun that I haven't tried in my trading
you've gone through
journey.
them all.
So I've tested it all. And the truth is, like, I try to keep it as simple as this because I know my brain can actually, go with it, go and
Mm,
understand what's going on in the market. Um so yeah, and also your strategy, David, like it's also
mm.
simple. It's
Yes.
not complicated. And this is another thing we talk about the traders, how we can overcomplicate things. We can overcomplicate our trading so much that it starts to feel almost frustrating because
Analysis
we,
paralysis.
exactly right. And you need to wait for so many confirmations. You need to look through so many charts and so many things
Yes.
that you're confusing yourself, you're getting upset with yourself, your emotions suddenly, that emotional thermometer, it goes from just being right to like overheat screaming at
Yes,
you.
through the roof.
So it's just through the roof, exactly what it is. And I know you would love through the roof now overheat because you're freezing in South Africa.
Oh, yes, it's cold. Oh, today.
It is. Tibet said for those in degrees, was it 7 or 9? I
It's
forgot.
7 now.
7 degrees, and I'm like, well, it's 24 in here. So
Shh.
we're finally
Well,
having some summer.
saying
Um,
some summer this side.
yeah, yeah, it's okay. Well, it's winter time for you, right? So
Yeah, we had our fun in the sun.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
RH says thank you. You're very welcome. Hopefully that helped the explanation. But yeah,
Maybe if
well,
there's someone in the chat that wants to share if they're looking at specific setups.
yeah, share with us, guys. What are you looking at? Are you trying to for anyone who says that you're going against me in Tibet? So if you're buying EU, buying GU, or buying AU, please do not share that. I'm kidding. We're good. Also another thing, you know how trading is. Just because we have different bias, we actually
Mm.
both can win on the setup. So many times
Yes.
you can see when the market is really trading, trending very well. You both
Mm.
can be, you can be buying, you can be selling, and you both can be winners. So so that's okay. But yeah, in today specifically, please do not share if you're buying GU. I don't want to
Keep it to
see that.
yourself.
Don't do that. But looks like GJ is now going lower. Maybe you want to share your chart, the vet, and just see how GJ is looking.
Okay.
How is GJ looking for those fair value
So
gaps?
for me, nothing yet.
It's
Let's see
just
if we can break this low. But it's
mm,
still, even though we're seeing this push down, there's no new fair value gaps being created. So
yeah. I have a question for you. Can I ask?
you're welcome to.
I'm gonna pick your brain here. So
Hmm.
we hear very often when traders say, I'm looking for the break of structure. Now,
Hmm.
I think the key word in here is the break of structure, but what do you consider a break of structure when it breaks with the wick or it has to break with the body close?
I do look for body closes, but
Okay,
not just a body close.
right.
I'm gonna just say it again. Like I use fair value gaps and everything. If the break creates a fair value gap, if the break creates a fair value gap, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
a wick, then I can potentially look for shorts, even if there's
Okay.
only a wick below it. But if there's a fair value gap going lower, so I do think for my strategy now, I look at the market. Fair value gaps tells me the direction the price is going. If we have bullish
Mm-hmm.
fair value gaps, we're going up. If we have bearish fair value gaps, we're going lower. Currently, price is now sitting at this fair value gap, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
Let me just change this color back to something more pleasing to the eye. So as soon as this fair value gap now, so yes, this low is the one
Yeah.
that was the last one that traded into this fair value gap. When this
Mm-hmm.
low breaks, I would be looking, did price in the breaking of that low, did it create more fair value gaps going lower? If there is one, then I could be interested in taking a short, because then if we start creating bearish fair value gaps, then for me the order flow or the direction or the structure is bearish. Um,
Yeah.
in this case, look at, so there's a low. We didn't have a body close. We did see some fair value gaps trading lower. So we see a fair value gap, price trades back into it, fails to make a new fair value gap when breaking this low. You can see there's no fair
Mm-hmm.
value gaps in there, it's just consolidating. So that's not a, there's no breaking structure. Then it goes up, it trades above this fair value gap, now it turns bullish. Now we have a bullish fair value gap. Price
Yeah.
respects it. Once we see the price respecting it, I'm expecting to see is there follow through. So if we're gonna continue bullish from this fair value gap and
Mm-hmm.
create and sweep or break the high, because
Mm-hmm.
now we're just currently in this range from this high and this low. We're just trading in this range and we're creating fair value gaps in between. But if we're gonna continue respecting this fair value gap, I would want to see price create a new fair value gap going higher. Maybe one sitting up here or breaking above that high. That would then lead me to believe, okay, then we're going for that high. So while price is just meandering or just chopping, bouncing up and down in between these highs and lows, there's nothing much to do. I just want to quickly
Mm-hmm.
look at Aussie dollar now. So let's just quickly remove this. So in this case, so we saw a bullish fair value gap and price traded up higher. Lucky for me, didn't go above that high. And now we broke this fair value gap towards the downside. The
Mm-hmm.
moment now that we create a new bearish fair value gap, that will be a great indication that price is indeed going to go lower.
Going lower. Yeah.
On the 5 minute, we already created new fair value gaps. 5 minute ones. I do prefer 15-minute ones just because I do
Mm-hmm.
more high time frame trading, so it's a bit more stronger bias.
Have
But
you
we are
heard the
see.
vet I'm saying? Sorry, I'm just going to quickly say this. I
Hmm,
love this. Wherever I can plug it in, I'm going to plug it in. You know how with the higher time frames or lower time frames? So I
yeah.
say it's like, two people talking, right? So when you're in a higher time frame, you hear more of a true story. And then the
Hmm,
lower you go, right, the less truth is in there. So it's like that's like
yes.
time frames. The higher time frames will tell you the honest story, like I don't know, Anna was eating healthy or weak, but then on the 1 minute there's going to be Anna was eating healthy, but she had all the snacks, ice creams and crisps and cakes in between.
And
So
cinnamon buns. Cinnamon
that's not
buns.
the truth. That's a lie. I've been eating healthy all week,
Yeah.
So that's like with the time frames as well. Like the the
Exactly.
smaller the time frame, the more there's like gossip in there, and the
Mm,
less the less truth in there. So yeah. Anyhow, that's my plug-in in there.
exactly. So if we now create a new fair value gap in here, that would potentially be a scaling opportunity. Or if you
Okay.
haven't gotten any trades yet, that could then potentially be a trade opportunity. And then looking for previous lows. So we have this low, and we have this low, and this low. So a bunch of areas to trade back into. And also, if we place a view up on the low from Monday, so that's the low of week, the lowest
Yeah.
low of the week. So all the buyers from Monday, this is the volume weighted average price is this line for everyone participating. And often it will act as a magnet, a pullback. So for me, take profit would be close to this area. So I do
Yeah.
think if we see a nice sell-off, it will go through these lows and close to view up, we would see a reaction. Similar with EU and GU, there's the low of week view up. See how it's just bouncing off of the new day. So the moment we break the new day one, the next level of view up support and resistance would be
Yeah.
this one. If
Do
we
you
just
think it's
look,
also because traders are like closing, how they say they're taking their profits? So let's say for those who bought, they're closing their trade, so taking the profits.
yes,
And also
profit taking.
sellers are finding the place where to sell from the resistance. So that's why there is the price push that comes not only for sellers, but also for the buyers taking off their positions, closing their
Yes.
positions, right?
And profit taking is nothing other than selling. So
Yeah.
people, or those who bought, they're selling their position. So they
Yeah.
need willing participants to buy up their position. So
Mm-hmm.
there always needs to be a counterpart to your trade. So for
Yeah.
me selling, I need to sell to someone that's willing to buy. So I'm selling now to
Mm-hmm.
everyone who wants to buy. So if we look at just the previous day high and low, so we
Okay.
often get breakout traders, right? So they, and just want to mark out this high as well. Go to the 4 hour, 1 hour. So I'm selling to
Mm-hmm.
people willing to be buying. So we have this swing high. Breakout traders, the trade breakout of highs and lows, they would be buying from this level, right? If it breaks out, they buy. So everyone that's long above this high, they are in drawdown now. So they're in the negative. They again, so that's kind of I'm trying to figure out or just get a sense of my own understanding of the sentiment and who's in the money, who's not, who's making profit, who's not.
Yeah.
So if there's people willing to buy, I need to be willing to sell. So if there's willing, I'm looking for a sell setup. And I'm first need to see is there people that might be buying this? Who would be buying this market? Breakout traders, EMA traders. If there's maybe a moving average, like there's so many different buyers
Mm-hmm.
out there in terms of different strategies and so on. And the moment we start breaking lower, that gives me a good indication that everyone that's buying above the high, they're in the water, they're in drawdown.
Yeah.
And that could potentially mean we have a nice sell-off towards the
Mm-hmm.
downside, because if they're buying and seeing price start to go against them, they're obviously also then selling their buying positions, closing in drawdown,
Yeah.
minimizing the risk, and that would then give us a nice move towards the downside. Hopefully back to VWAP. So that would be a nice trade and a
We'll see.
nice, but I'm not
We will
holding.
see.
Not. Let's see if it happens all in 2 hours. You know those candles that just go boom, and then boom
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. That's what we are manifesting here. I don't think manifesting is good for trading. It's like, sometimes it's like, I watch these like funny memes sometimes, and it's like where they go like, please, please, please go down, go down, go down. It's like, it doesn't work. You're just
Yes.
torturing yourself. Like, don't do that. You're just torturing yourself, and you're just adding into
Mm,
that emotional cocktail. Not only you're like frustrated and you're like seeing that you're losing and you're losing money, right? You're now
mm.
adding hope, which is the worst thing in trading. Like,
Hopeful trading.
especially I think if you trade the certain strategy and you know your rules and you read the price action, right? So when you start to put the hope in there and say, let's hope price goes my way, let's hope I'm going to reach the profit target, let's hope, like, that's the worst word for trading. And that's why I like, sometimes on my one-on-one coachings, I constantly need to remind traders your vocabulary, like, use proper words. There's no word
Yes.
hope, right?
No, something no.
There's no word maybe. Also, like, you can't say, well, maybe this is a good confirmation. No, there's no
Exactly.
maybe. Like, it's either your confirmation is good or bad. It's
Mm,
simple as that. And and then going back to, once you start to also speak about, and this is, and this is not only in trading, this is like a psychology when it comes to positive self-talk, right? If
mm.
you will say to yourself, you are a bad trader, you don't know what you're doing, you keep on losing, da da da, this negative, right? So much negative talk. But once you start to speak, I'm trading my plan, I'm doing my
Yes.
work, I'm doing my ASR, I'm organizing my things, and all that positive talk, it's gonna
Mm.
uplift you. And
Yes, it's going to affect. It's going to spill over.
exactly. It's gonna feel good. But obviously there's also this another, it's like always anything, it's like, I don't know, how do you say, like a sword with two sides, or what's the saying?
Double-edged sword.
Double-edged, yes, right? So what happens is, then if you go too over positive, you can also
Mm,
start to affect and you're like, oh no, it's just gonna go, like, yeah, I'm
mm.
good, I know what I'm doing, so
Yeah,
it just, it starts to affect as well. So um, but yeah, look at that. It's going to bit. It's pushing
it's
down.
going.
It's
It's
good.
pushing down.
We're getting excited. I mean, I'm getting excited, Like, my EU is kind of okay in profit. GU is just right at the break even. So I need to see that push more down.
It's interesting to see because we know that EU, AU, and GU often moves in the
Together.
same
Yeah.
together.
They're like
Uh,
buddies.
EU and GU is still battling with that new day VWAP. Just like you
Mm.
can see, there's a kind of a battle going on there. Aussie
Yeah.
dollar decided to break through, so I think that's why it's moving faster now. The moment EU and GU breaks through as well, I think we
Hmm.
could see then all of them going lower.
Yeah. I mean, I
Let's see.
love everything that you're showing that it's selling off, but as a trader, I know it's 50-50. It can
It's
also
50-50.
break above, right? It can. I mean, I expect, based on my analysis and my confirmation, I expect the price is going to go down, right? So, and that's where the probability is. As a
Mm,
trader, there's always 50-50. You either going to buy or you either going to sell. There's no in between, right? So I'm
no.
selling now. And I'm selling because there's more confirmation. So it's like, if it's a scale, I know it's heavier because there's more confirmation in here. And buys, there's just not enough confirmation for me to buy. That's why I'm
How
not
would
buying.
you? How so? Your entry would be after this engulfment candle.
Yes, that's where I'm selling. Yeah.
So at the close of it,
Yeah.
and then do you look at then previous structure for stop loss or
Yeah.
yeah?
So it really depends, right? So I do the previous structure I want always, but the thing is, because the previous right one, just like a little bit to the right one. So yeah, like there, right? It's just too close. I don't like
Yes.
that. So I will take like one before, which is right there, all the way to the top where your line is. Exactly. Yeah. And then also I do have enough like for the profit target, because I base my profit target on the 4 hours. And
Mm.
then that's why it goes all the way, down. So um and I know, like, pip wise, it looks massive, but the range is massive as well.
Yes.
My stop loss is 37 pips. That's almost like a swing trade,
Mm.
and my take profit is 82 pips. So
Wow.
it's it's because of the range, because
Mm.
normally the range, right, and this is also another thing, how market has shifted. That's like just a proof there, right? The range on EU used to be like 35 pips a day,
Yes.
right? Now our range is like more like 50 pips a day. And obviously when there's a lot of news movement happening, it can be even up to 120. So
Could be massive.
could be massive, right? So that's what I'm saying, like, yeah, the trade looks, your profit and your stops are so far away. But that's just like I'm trading my plan because it says the stops go on previous
Mm,
structure. And but if it's too close and the stop is too tight, then I'm gonna go for the previous more to the left. And I always say for my strategy, I look left. I need to see the zone
mm,
on the left to be able to
mm.
say where is going to be my exits for
Yes.
profit and for the stop as well. So,
I
but
think it's
yeah,
also
well,
important to use proper risk tools or risk management tools. Do not, let's say you always use one lot and now all of a sudden the range has increased. That
it's
one lot
double.
lost doubles.
Yeah.
I've made that mistake in the past. Not, I think if it was a few years back when GU around COVID's
Mhm.
time when the GU pip range just got like the ranges got just
Wider.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
Using the same lot size I would usually use, then looking at my stop loss, wow, now the risk is so much more.
Exactly. Because the
So
range is bigger, right? So
yes,
instead of risking like 20 pips, you are now risking 60 pips even sometimes.
yes,
So, and there you go, 20 pips is like $200 and 60 pips is $600. That's like triple, right?
mm,
So no wonder the risk is growing that way. But yeah, your trade
yeah.
is looking much better than mine, Devet. Well done. If
For
we
now, so
have,
let's
if
see.
we ever do like a, fight between Devet and Anna's trades, currently you're a winner.
For now,
Currently you're winning. Oh my. Right. Okay. I think we're going to start to wrap up. I
yeah,
do want to say that currently at the Leveraged, we have a deal going on where the offer of the month is you buy any senior account. So that's like two-phase accounts. And then you can get a free junior portfolio manager's account added
mm,
to you. So please use that. There's no codes. You just buy and then it's going to be added to you. But if you want to join the Leverage, please do. The vet and myself were very much active on the Discord as well. So please join us in. Let's chat about the market. Now, guys, also what I'm going to try to do, maybe the vet can give me some, little tips and tricks. So I'm looking into AI trading because Leveraged offers AI tools like an AI analysis that you can use for
yes.
your trading, right? So for the next week, my challenge is I'm going to get the fresh account for you guys. This is like entertainment, proper entertainment. And I'm going to try and use these AI
Only
tools
take
because
AI. Are you only going to take AI
only AI.
trades?
Yeah, there's not
Only
going to be my
AI.
strategy, only AI.
Okay.
And I'm just going to show everything. Already, like in the Discord, I'm starting to,
Yes,
train
I
people
saw
to
that.
see yeah, right, how the AI is working. So for the next week, I have this super exciting challenge. I mean, I don't know if I'm excited or scared, but hopefully it's going to be great. And we'll just test our AI because so many traders are actually using our AI analysis and
Mm,
getting really good results. So I thought, why not me, right? And let's make
yeah,
it, yeah, let's see how I get on with the AI analysis. But yeah, that's for the next week.
I'm excited to see
Also,
it.
I'm as well, Devet. But also, me and Devet, we're going to be here next week. We'll do the same
Thursday.
thing. We'll come here, do the analysis, maybe show more of the trade setups, and maybe have like more conversations going on in here. But thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate you all. Join the Discord if you want to have a chat with me or Devet. We're there, right there for you if you need anything. And now let's use the word. Let's hope our trades hit the TPs and we can finish Friday in the style. But it's all good. Even if it is a stop loss, we accept the loss before we enter the trade because that's what we
Yes.
need to do as a traders. We always accept the loss before we enter the trade. So, and
Mm,
it's much easier then to digest, what's going on in what's happening with the trade. So no matter what's going on, we just accept the loss. But anyhow, guys, thank you so much for
absolutely.
joining us, and
Thanks,
we
guys.
will see you next week. Take care. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.